joining us today. This is the Ensable sales hacks training. Many of the Ensable members have asked us to do a training specifically about the Ensable sales tools to better understand it, to kind of walk us through it, and that's specifically what we're going to go through today. So hopefully a lot of this will be a refresher if you've already used it, but hopefully you'll learn something new from the platform itself and how to leverage the technology. So we're going to go ahead and get started. When you're working with Ensable, the easiest way to understand the platform is to look at it as something like Google Alerts. If you've used Google Alerts before, basically you're giving Google a company name or a phrase and they track it for you. We work in a simpler fashion, but rather than tracking news and things of that nature, we're tracking sales events. So these sales events are revolving around changes that companies are experiencing, whether it's an office move, they're maybe switching to Office 365, or maybe CenturyLink had an outage, or there may have been a new executive or some type of social activity. And so anything that we're able to detect in terms of changes, which are around 35 right now, you can see those changes after you upload these companies. And so you're going to submit a number of companies, whether it's a website or a company name. Typically, you would copy this from the spreadsheet. You're going to work with companies, and the reason why it's important that you start out with companies you actually know, because we're going to be able to build upon that information and find new logos for you based off of that information. So there's some sales intelligence that's going to be layered on top of whatever you add here. So you can download your LinkedIn connections, you can upload your past customers, maybe your win-back list, but in any case, you'll be able to copy and paste them here. You can add a label, so you can have a future reference as far as what this list is all about, and of course, your email address. You can override existing data in your back office just by clicking the button. Once you hit submit, our system is going to go back and build some background checks on these companies, review the information, and then add them to your tracking list. You'll get an email from one of our team members once that is finalized with your new tracking list, but you should be able to log in directly to your portal, and there's a login link on the main page of all of our website. But once you get into the portal, you'll be able to see all of the companies that you're tracking here. And so there's a number of ways to slice and dice the data. You can search for company names if you're just looking for a specific company, or if you want to look at companies based off of the recent events that we're seeing, you can sort it by company name or by the latest and greatest events. But if you click on more info, this is where you're actually going to see the events that we're seeing within these companies. On a side note, it's important to note that not everyone will show up in this list. Only companies who have experienced some type of a sales trigger will actually appear within this list. And so this particular company uses Gmail, which is why we're reporting on it here. So that's part of the background research that we're doing on these companies. In order for us to know what to report on, we need to know what types of vendors they're using, who their phone providers are. So if there are outages, changes, acquisitions, anything of that nature, that's going to help us to know what to report on for these specific companies. So you can click on the outage link to get additional details. You can see other data points that we've seen recently, so they were blacklisted. One of their emails was part of a breach. And so this allows you to basically dive in and look at any of the latest events that are transpiring with any of the companies that you're following. So hopefully that's pretty straightforward. If you do have questions about a specific event, if you click on the link related to the event, it'll take you to a training that'll help you understand how to run with these data points. Some of them are intuitive, some of them are less intuitive. You may ask yourself, why are you reporting on this specific type of information? If you click on the link, it'll make a lot more sense. And so also, if you do have any questions about what you're seeing on the page, just go ahead and feel free to engage with our team here. Let me close that chat here real fast. But again, definitely chat with us if you have any questions and utilize those resources for your business. Now, one thing that I'd like to go through today are these icons. There's a lot of questions about what these icons represent. What do I do with them? And so let me just walk through that real fast. So we understand that there's events related to each company. You can click on the content, it'll open and close it so that it keeps it nice and neat for you. Next to each company, there are these different icons. This first icon, which is the plus icon, is for an upsell report. The upsell report is basically a background check on the company. So when you click on that, it's going to take you to a page where it's going to ask you to submit the request. And so if you submit the request, you'll be able to type in a company name or a website, your email address, you can copy somebody. But you're going to get a link like this in your email. This is a static link, and this is something you can add to your CRM, something you can reference to in the future. This is real-time data, so as we update our database on events and details about a specific company, you can always go back to that same URL and get the information. These background checks vary based off of the data that comes through, based off of what's available. But typically you're going to see something like this. You're going to see background information, all of their competitors, suppliers or vendors that you can collaborate with on these deals based off of events and software that they're using. You can collaborate with other Ensable members who are tracking the same company. So maybe you offer SD-WAN and somebody else offers data center services. And so you want to team up and work together on winning these opportunities. And so we'll talk more about this here in a second, but you can engage other Ensable members and basically collaborate with them. There's a contact section with any contacts that are available via social media, their address list, phone provider, software services, anything that we can glean from their public data, any type of news that the company has experienced recently, job openings, recent sales events, and security vulnerabilities based off of their domain settings and other areas that we're looking at. So it's a pretty comprehensive view of the company. Again, you can run these for any companies that you're following or any companies that you're not following. You just simply submit the company name here, and the system will take care of the rest. So the next item that we'll look at is the green icon. This is, we touched upon this briefly, but what this is the collaboration opportunities. So again, if you're looking to partner with other folks, maybe you specialize in one thing and somebody else specializes in something else. And so this is something that you would write here. So when you click on collaboration, you're going to say, look, I'm trying to do this or that with this company, or kind of explain your situation. What this is going to do is we're going to send the email to a few individuals at Ensable who are tracking the same company and let them know who you are, but we're not going to let you know who they are. So it's up to them whether or not they respond. And so this way the customers and who's tracking who is still kept private, but it's up to them to decide whether or not they engage with you. And so we provide the message that you've sent plus any contact information that we have for you in the company itself. Next up, you'll see that there's the 4 green icons. And what this is looking at is the neighbors. And this is why it's always important to start with companies they already have an existing relationship with. So what this neighboring tool does is you can submit any company name or website, and regardless of how many locations they have, we'll be able to look up any of their neighbors in any multi-tenant buildings. And so what this does is it creates a fresh list of logos to pursue, but these companies are going to be related to companies you already have a relationship with. And so this makes it a lot easier to pursue new opportunities. And so if we look at this, you'll get your spreadsheet back, and we're going to automatically add these neighbors and add a note in the spreadsheet as far as how you're connected to these companies. And so the next time any of these companies show up on your opportunities report, you'll say, look, this is the neighbor of one of my existing clients. I'm going to reach out to them, and I can drop the name of my client who happens to be in their building. And so this tool is designed to allow you to essentially expand your company tracking list based off of any existing clients. But you could add any company you want here. You can erase this and add another company. but essentially you're trying to follow companies that are related to companies that you're already engaged with in order to build on that momentum. The next icon is the star, and this is a cross-selling opportunity. So when you go to the cross-selling opportunity, again, you can put in a company name. It's already going to be populated when you click on the link. But when you submit this request, what it's going to do is it's going to analyze recent events, software, industries, and specific types of advantages that different vendors have, and allows you to create a cross-selling map. And so 7-Eleven happens to use Skype and Oracle and a number of other technologies. And so this just maps out the different vendors you might engage with on this conversation to upsell and cross-sell within this account. So the cross-selling opportunity is basically looking at other vendors and suppliers that you can collaborate with on any given opportunity. Next up, we have the black force icons. And this is a great one as well. What this is doing is, just like what we saw in the upsell or background check, we're able to identify the closest competitors to any given company. So you can submit a company name or website here, and what this is going to do is it's going to analyze its website traffic to determine the companies that know each other. So this is companies that if you were to mention this name to that company, they would actually be able to say, I know that company. And so again, it's using that existing relationship to build new relationships. And so when you would submit this, again, it's going to add these companies to your tracking list. It's going to reference the fact that these are competitors of 7-Eleven or any other companies that you're tracking. And that way you can build on that existing momentum. The last icon is our LinkedIn integration, which is pretty intuitive. When you click on that, it's going to take you directly to LinkedIn and show you all the active members of that company. And so you can engage with them, connect with them, send them messages, and start from LinkedIn and see any of the latest contacts there. So that's everything as far as the platform. But before we go into Q&A, just let me walk you through everything real briefly to kind of give you a high-level overview. The more info section is going to walk you through all of the latest sales events that we've been able to visualize for each of the companies that you're tracking. You can sort companies by name, by date, and really dive deep into what you're trying to do. Essentially what this is trying to accomplish is it's taking a large list of prospects and helping you prioritize your time as far as where your time is best spent based off of sales events and triggers, and adding context to your conversations. These icons here are allowing you to have additional success by finding new companies related to those companies, or understanding the background of these companies before you pick up the call and talk to them, finding new contacts, engaging with them, collaborating with other Ensable members, and really giving you everything you need at your fingertips. So essentially, you can think of Ensable as a lead nurturing platform. So if you are working on larger opportunities, or pretty much any opportunity requires you to nurture the opportunity over time. A lot of times we look at sales as a large mass email campaign that we'll send out with a drip campaign. But this is much more strategic, where you have a higher close ratio because you're working on strategic accounts and working on specific events and sending custom emails. So it's a little bit different approach, but it's more of the sniper approach, where you're focused on named accounts. And so it's a much more efficient means of capturing new revenue. So with that, we're going to go ahead and open it up for Q&A. So I'm going to jump back into here and open it up everything. But if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to stick around. Likewise, like I mentioned in the beginning, if you have any questions you would like to ask offline, I'd be more than happy to do that for you. But again, thanks everyone for joining us on a Friday afternoon. Hope everyone has a great weekend. And Jason was asking about where is the link. So the link, there's a number of links that we've talked about here. So let me just go back to get access to the portal, you would just go to Ensable.com and click on Login. To follow companies, it's just Ensable.com/follow. So hopefully that answers your question, Jason. Perfect. And if there aren't any other questions, we'll go ahead and shut it down for the weekend. And we'll be talking to everyone in about 2 weeks. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.